Welcome to the 100th episode of the Nourish Soul podcast. I am so proud and excited that we have made it to 100 episodes. And this has been an incredible journey for me personally. When I started the show, I really wanted to talk about the soul and what is the soul and where is the soul. And what it has evolved into is really bringing you a fresh perspective on health and healing, particularly around mental health. And it has been personally nourishing to my soul. I have enjoyed every single guest that has come on the show, and it has been just personally very impactful and inspiring for me. So I hope that that's what's happening for you, that it is nourishing to your body, mind, soul, and that all of the episodes have been helpful to you in some way. And I'm very excited that this episode, our 100th episode, we have my dear friend Haley Kilpatrick Dozier back on the show. So, Haley was our very first guest that we had on the show because she is one of my favorite people in all of the world. Very loving, wonderful, bright light in the world. And the first time Haley came on the show, she very courageously and vulnerably talked about her own health struggles with Crohn's disease and also other things that have happened in her life, and was she's always very inspiring anyway, so you can go back and listen to that. This episode, I wanted to have Haley on to talk specifically about mom sanity and being healthy and vibrant and energized to show up and be present for our families, particularly our kiddos, and especially our kiddos that are having their own struggles with anxiousness or learning differences or chronic health issues, whatever's going on. So, Haley and I both talk very openly about kind of mom stress and how that has gone. And what I loved is that Haley talks very specifically about the micro changes that they have made as a family that have had the most impact on their family, on the health and well being of the whole family. So it turned out to be a very practical episode that I think is going to be very helpful to you all. What we did not talk about, which is also extremely important, so I'll have to have Haley back on so that we can talk more about it. Because Haley and I are always talking about this, how to have impact for our young people, particularly young people that are struggling with anxiety and stress, and how do we help with the coping strategies, with relationships, and all the things that young people are having to navigate these days. And we do that because Haley is the founder of Girl Talk Inc. And Girl Talk Inc. is an incredible nonprofit organization that is all about inspiring leadership in our girls. So it's peer to peer mentorship. So the high school girls are mentoring the middle school girls. And I think in 27 different states, there are clubs, two different countries, there are clubs. And it has always been, because Haley is very adamant, that it is free to join. So any girl who wants to get involved can get involved with a girl talk or start a girl talk club. They have funding now for the first time and forever. They have incredible funding from partnerships like Dove and Sam's, and they are fully funding 100 new clubs in this next school year. So that's really exciting because Girl Talk just continues to grow and be expansive. And it's inspiring because the alumni come back as well. They do a lot of volunteering and helping out at camp and other places like that. So, Girl Talk Camp is in Atlanta, Georgia, every summer. And a lot of the girls that come with a scholarship. So there are lots of scholarship opportunities too within Girl Talk. So without further ado, I will make sure that you have all of the links in the show notes so that you can check out Girl Talk because it's incredible. And you can check out all the other resources that we maybe mention. I'm going to go ahead and put all of those, a link to all of those in the show notes because we talk about some things that might be helpful to all of you. And I hope you enjoy this 100th episode and celebrate it with us as much as I enjoyed talking to my dear friend, Haley. Haley, welcome back to the show, to our 100th episode.
Congratulations. I am so proud of you, proud of not only the podcast, but all that I've learned and how it's changed my family's lives. So thank you and congratulations, and so grateful to be here.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that you would do this because you were the very first episode. And to be the 100th episode is just very special. So when we were talking about it, I was like, oh, let me see if Haley will come back. So glad that you could.
I'm so happy. I mean, I feel like I've evolved. I've grown so much because of the say the other 98 episodes. I'm truly one of your biggest fans, and I'm so grateful for the guests that you've had, and just able to take little things that I wish I'd known my entire life. But being a mom of two girls, trying to slowly just do like little micro changes, and it's yeah, it's been life changing. Kelly, thank you for all of your hard work.
Well, you are welcome. Thank you for all that. You're just such a big supporter and always so gracious. And I want to talk about being a mom. You may have kind of noticed people may be noticing that I'm talking more about my experience as a mom. I think we're enough out of the woods and enough on this side of it that I feel really passionate about helping other moms. And so mom sanity comes because we have a lot of mom stress. So I didn't know if we want to start just by talking about, I think mostly I'd like to talk about the things that we do that help keep us sane. And the whole reason that I had the podcast, well, originally was talk about the soul. And then the more I would learn things that were so fascinating and helping me and helping my family, I wanted to have it on the show. So that's what we continue to do is to help people. If it's something that's been exciting to me and helpful for my family, I put it on the show. So I want to spend most of our time talking about what works, like what helps us stay sane. But let's just talk a little bit about mom stress, shall we?
Wow. We'll go right into the deep end. That's where we all are, right? I would, well, first, I just want to say thank you for being vulnerable in your experience, for taking what you've learned and being willing to share and help us. I just read about an upcoming just course that you're going to be doing. I couldn't sign up fast enough to learn from you and what's working. And you're ahead of me, but I think there are things that we can put in place to minimize stress, maximize our sanity, and teach our children along the way. So hopefully they will kind of avoid these pitfalls that so many of us fall into. So yeah, the mom stress is real. As you know, your listeners may not, I'm in Atlanta. So my youngest will start her first full day school. So I'm entering this uncharted territory so far. August will be a big month for our family. Both girls will be in school by 7:45 and in school until 2:15, 2:30. And prior to that, I would say this past school year was 4 carpools a day, very, very different parts of town, a lot of time in the car, trying to work, plan healthy meals, move my body, prioritize my spirit, doing that just deep. I've learned from you, you need to feel to heal. And so trying to do that alongside raising two children, being a great partner, an equitable partner in my marriage to Paul, maintaining a house, two dogs, all of it. And it's real. And trying to prioritize our sanity takes work, it takes commitment, but I also think it's super important, and it's becoming vital. As my children need us, they need us as moms more emotionally as we enter these seasons. It's not so much physical, and we have an obligation, I think, to ourselves and to them to be in a healthy place, to nourish our souls.
Yeah.
And by doing that, I think they see that and they learn to take care of theirs. So I'm eager to continue learning and eager to share things that I've learned from you and incorporated from your guests, and incorporated that are really working in my life, but also seeing, I think if our children are healthy and sane, then we follow in a lot of ways. So yes.
Yeah, that's true. It's so funny. They're like, they need us more emotionally. I'm like, well,
Mhm.
you have girls, I have boys. I feel like they physically need a lot for mine are 19 and 21. And I'm so excited to have them both home from college because I get to cook for them and it's really fun to have everybody home. But the seasons, they do change. But the mom worry to me If we have a kiddo that's struggling, and I don't know how much you want to share about that, which is totally fine.
Very transparent over here.
But when we have a kiddo that is having some issues, physical, emotional, mental, whatever's happening, because it's all connected anyway, there's no separation between physical and mental and emotional and spiritual. But when something is happening with our child, the amount of stress and anxiety and all the things that come with that, because we're trying to make decisions and we really have to have faith and make decisions. And a lot of the decisions are hard, not just because you're trying to do what's right for your kid, but you're getting a lot of information that is confusing. And it's like, which way do I go? Who do I listen to? How do I navigate this? And really, you're exactly right. Because if we're not grounded and clear and we have mental clarity, we're grounded, we have the energy, and nourishing ourselves and doing our own emotional work. How are we going to make these decisions? How are we going to be steadfast in our faith that it will one step at a time and work through all these things? And how are we going to show up for our kids when we have even when things are going smoothly? It's challenging, but when there are significant bumps, it can be. There have been days that I just it's can be debilitating. It feels debilitating to me.
It's debilitating, it can be paralyzing, and
Paralyzing.
I do think you make a great point. We have access to so much information, so many opinions, a wealth of resources, and in a lot of ways one can conflict and can conflict with another. And for those of us, I'll raise my hand here, who have anxious tendencies, and I'm energized by problem solving, right? Like, so trying to do that, but also seek wisdom, seek wise counsel, lean into my faith and trust that God wrote this story a long time ago. And is my child meant to suffer? Am I meant to circumvent that? I mean, there are these just like big questions that just are ignited in your soul in this process. And I think so much of the learning is on our part, right? Of just the surrender and trusting this process. So I think so many of these micro changes I've made in my life have kind of toned down the noise, allowed me to kind of sink into who I am. For me, be very prayerful, trust my intuition for two very different children, one who is anxious and neurodivergent, and one who is neurotypical. And I don't know if she's an anxious cell in her body.
Yeah.
They're almost 3 years apart, and they would both admit this. And they together are like the perfect little girl. I mean, they have each have strengths and weaknesses that when they're working together, it's beautiful. But they need different education paths. They need different things from me and my husband at different points of the day. They have very different needs, and I think you're so right. Learning kind of to trust ourselves, to trust the resources we have right here to kind of bloom where we're planted, and trust that they will, and that they have everything they need to be the person they're meant to become. As parents, we just have to be able to support them and love them, and do that from a place that is healthy, that is grounded, and is trusting the process.
Yeah, trust is probably the biggest word, right?
Mhm.
Like trusting. And I too, I think that was the hardest thing for me with my child going through all the struggles. And we're talking like significant struggles, not the normal struggles, right? Significant struggles and just going, I know God has a plan here. I don't have to like it. I
Mhm.
can not understand why, but I kept feeling very much like this has to happen in this specific way. And I was just doing my best to not get in the way, but be supportive and do my own healing work so that I could show up and be present every day because I never knew what the day was going to bring, actually. And that was really rough. But the hardest thing I think was that having faith and
Mhm.
trust, just trusting. And I do trust. I trust
Mhm.
God, I trust the universe, I trust my skills, and I would still question all the time. is this the right path? And am I doing, all the things you would question. I don't know if you can, I'm guessing you
Oh
can relate.
yes, I'm like on on fire here. It's so hard, and it's so unique what parts of us where a light is kind of shining. We have blind spots here when it as a parent, and I think there I can similar to you. You can advise, you can jump into the fire for other people and other people's circumstances, but when it's right here under your roof, for me it was initially, and all too well, paralyzing. Like what what is the next step? And yes, we know to trust, to surrender, baby steps. How do we break this down? How do we do what's best for our child? And how do we feel at peace where we can be okay with the decisions being made?
Yeah.
So I will say so much of the timing of the nourished soul and your gifts alongside our family's journey has been really beautiful. Grace is so proud to tell you she has the gift of dyslexia. She's going into third grade and has needed a specialty school to remediate, and it has been beautiful. While we are navigating, we're probably in the like peewee leagues of what you've navigated. We're learning how to help her develop strong coping mechanisms, to learn that she is an overcomer, that she is resilient, and that she has giftings in other areas. Not everything is designed around, what grade level you're reading or how you can write a paper. She is brilliant in so many ways, and really using this opportunity to shine a light on her strengths has been such a gift. But I will say some of the biggest shifts in her believing this is in the mornings, we open up the French doors.
Yeah.
They're barefoot. We
Okay.
brush our
Let's
teeth.
make sure
Yes.
people stop right
Yes.
here because
Okay.
you are getting into the nitty gritty of like
Yes.
what really makes the
Yes.
difference. Like, this is the stuff that moves the needle, people. So, what Haley's about to share are these micro changes that can be monumental in the health of your kids and your whole family and you. Right. So you're getting up, first thing, you're getting light in the morning,
Yep. That was
doors open. Okay.
Yep. I learned how transformative it was to me, and a few months in, I'm like, I've got to find a way to incorporate this into our routine, because as moms, mornings for us can be very full. We've got different drop off locations in a city where traffic can be unpredictable. And I'm going to start with this so I don't get emotional. It was not easy to build all of this into our routine initially. It was much easier to think, I'm going to let the kids sleep and prioritize this for myself and my mom's sanity. And for the next few years, we may not be able to incorporate this into our lives as a family. I mean, that was a lie that I grew to believe pretty early on, and then really just said, no, we can back into a very early bedtime. Our kids can wind down. We were going to prioritize sleep in our family. We all need that. And so that was key. We backed dinner, our family time, bedtime, so everyone can get the sleep that they need. We created really healthy sleep environments. And then that really set the stage for joyful mornings. But yes, you come downstairs, we open the French doors, whether it's blazing hot, freezing cold, or anything in between. If it's raining, we have raincoats or umbrellas, and we go outside, and we're barefoot. We're fortunate where we can open up the doors and where we go right outside in our home. So it was easy to ground. And we say 3 things we're grateful for. And even if I have eye rolls now, it's starting 3 things we're grateful for. And it can't be the same thing it was yesterday. We're barefoot. We do face east. We don't have a lot of direct sunlight, but we face east. We have our feet on the grass, whether it's wet, hot, itchy, whatever, we just do it. We say 3 things we're grateful for, and we use this time. They brush their teeth. So we still keep moving. I do their hair outside. So I'm doing ponytail, whatever their hairstyle of the day is. And we really try to get at least 10 minutes. Sometimes we're able to get 15, especially if it's like a double braid day or however many topsy tails they're asking for. And it's really become one of the sweetest parts of our mornings. And it's free, and it's game changing. It's life changing for both girls. And I think that has been by far the most significant change we've made in our family's lives.
The light environment and the earthing. Those 2 things have made the biggest difference for us too, I would
Mhm.
say. Because we were already doing a lot of healthy things. Haley, you were doing a lot of things. And first of all, I just want to say how important it is. That put your own mask on first. And I always thought that was when I was younger. I was like, that's so weird. Why do they say that? And then when you're a mother, you realize like you can't do anything for anybody
Sure.
if you're depleted. And so I love at first somebody listening, they may need to work on themselves first and then
Mhm.
figure out how you're gonna work this into the whole family because it won't take long for you to realize how important the light is and how important earthing is. Literally getting skin touching some kind of earth surface, whether that's concrete, dirt, grass, sand, touching the leaves on a tree because somebody's allergic to grass. I mean, like all the thing there are ways around these things, but to do it for yourself first because it doesn't take very long for you to
Agree.
notice the difference, and then it's more motivating to say, "I've gotta get these kids we've gotta get the kids the light and fix their light environment." Yeah.
100%. And I needed to believe it. Like, I needed to feel the change in my life, in my health, in my mental health, just the way I show up for my family and for the world. And once I felt it, you will move mountains to prioritize it for your family.
Mhm.
Um, it, and it sets the tone for the whole day. My children are now aware of blue light. They have their blue light blockers. They're doing a sleepover tonight and they packed them on their own.
I love that, I love
Yeah,
that. You tell them that Aunt Kelly is
I will.
so happy to hear that.
But yeah, these micro changes, I mean, change everything.
Mhm.
They do, and there are so many more that we've incorporated. And I think I shared with you, we just spent a week away in nature,
Yeah.
completely plugged, and to really experience that on a I feel like for us on a spiritual level, we were away from the noise. It was remote. I grew up in South Georgia. My children didn't. And so we were like 50 miles from the nearest interstate. Ours is like in the backyard, quite literally, quite literally. And so it's so funny to hear their questions when they're removed. Like, oh, wait, how far is the grocery store? Or wait, there's really like nothing. I'm like, nope, there's nothing around. It's God's playground. There's a lake, we're going to find a waterfall every day. We're going to touch trees as we hike and we walk alongside things and just see certain parts of their soul. Like our oldest really doesn't have an affinity for heights. We'll just say that nicely. She probably gets it naturally. But just seeing her on day 4 look at me, it was a 100-foot waterfall called Minnehaha, and it was at really golden hour. We're out there totally grounded, just beautiful. And she looked at me and she was like, I want to go to the top. I'm like, hey, what? And there was a trail to the left, very steep. And she went with one of my best friends. She looked at her, trusted her, and said, can we go? Can we hike to the top? And I stayed with the littles. And as they came down, um, my dear friend, she just looked at me with just huge crocodile tears. Like, I cannot believe that she just did that. And again, this sounds small, but it's so big.
Mhm.
Grace is learning to trust herself. She's loving being in nature. She sees how great she feels.
Mhm.
And the things that we're told to really, or we're made to believe are super important, really just melt away. And you were asking how am I doing? I'm like, I'm actually having a hard time, like just kind of reacclimating here because it really was so wonderful to have all of that time outside away from screens. I mean, blue light wasn't even on our radar, and just how well we slept and we felt. And just again, once you experience that, you try to say, how do we build this into more of our daily lives around these, overscheduled children's lives? How do you make sure that we're right here at the a national park down the street? How do we make sure we're getting down there, we're moving our bodies close to nature, etc.? I could go on forever, but it was healing.
I love it. And it
Yeah.
just doesn't seem like we weren't doing that before. I just wanna because I think I thought we spent a lot of time outside. I didn't understand exactly how important the light was. I don't know, everybody was probably I don't think we wore sunglasses and shoes very much, but I didn't understand exactly how important it was. I'm not sure that we prioritized it as much. And I was much more into like the food and the supplements and making sure everybody got good sleep. But I don't think I connected all the dots. Well, I know I didn't. I just
Yeah,
didn't have the information, right?
yes, I definitely didn't. Kids were outside. I mean, just full transparency. We're out at peak times of day, coated in sunscreen.
Yeah.
I did not have a healthy relationship with the sun. I was taught to fear it. I had really bad allergies growing up, so I would have histamine response as soon as my feet hit the grass. And then I will say, in doing my own healing work, it's been beautiful to see how grounding has transformed. I mean, I can walk on ground. I mean, I can be outside. There's no medication in this body. There's no Zyrtec, Claritin. I can be around cats and dogs, and not have an immediate allergic reaction. That part alone has been wonderful. And then learning things like sunglasses, no thank you. I mean, sometimes it's one of those, like, I mean, just a few minutes with the family. They're like, we feel like we look tired. Throw on your sunglasses for a picture. But just understanding its relationship to our hormones, not prioritizing the sunscreen,
Yeah.
priming the kids' skin in the spring, going on walks. No sunburn. I mean, I'll go on to just say some of the added benefits for our family that we've experienced. I mean, sure, our journey has been, it could be unique to us. I don't know, but no sick visits, no
Mhm.
flu, no colds. I'm so grateful for that. No allergies, no sensitivities, and that's a completely different childhood than my childhood. So
Right.
I think your point, for a long time, I really did think I was, that we were feeding them well. I put a lot of trust and hope in supplements, and I still, in a way, for my own health journey, can be guilty of that. But I think my relationship with the sun, red light in the morning, really, I think so much of what we're trying to prioritize now, it's sunset is so late for their sleep needs, but even for me, just golden hour exposure, getting out there and starting to experience what I have really felt is healing from sunset as well. So, yes, it's just, I think the main message for parents to know is once you experience it yourself, it's so much easier to prioritize. And the younger your children are, I think the more like Play-Doh they are, and you can help them understand, like, you are the primary influencer in their life right now for this tiny little window, and you can answer questions, and they're eager to understand it. And if they're understanding it at this age, I mean, I could only hope that they would prioritize this in college, early career, and help educate their children.
Yes, that's the hope, and it's never too late because I started learning all of these things with a 16-year-old that was experiencing all these issues, and I was like, I have to figure some things out. I've always been on to the next. I'm curious. I went on to the next thing. This was different. This was not just on to the next thing to learn or the next supplement that we could all try. This was really reorienting my own soul and
Mhm.
being more harmonized with my natural environment. It was unlike any of the other things that meditation. I love prayer, obviously, as well, but even beyond all of the other things that I have tried, all the different therapies and, technologies, everything I've tried, this was just so simple. And I think that's maybe people kind of wonder, like, what are we even talking about? We're literally talking about harmonizing with our natural environment, everything harmonizing. And for me, I too, lots of allergies growing up. I had horrible eczema. I had migraines from the time I was 17. All the things that I didn't understand how much our mitochondria were at play. And for us, we're the moms. We pass on the mitochondria. There's some indication that dad has something to do with it too, but most of the research and the really good research shows that we inherit our mitochondria from our mothers. So the more we can help you've got girls, the more we can help them heal their mitochondria. Because I think we probably, given all the health issues we've had, we probably inherited some dysfunctional mitochondria. Not to blame
Sure.
mom and grandma and all the way down, but I think we inherited some weak. mitochondria. So the more we can heal our mitochondria, because that's the good news. Like
Mhm.
whatever you got handed, we can not only heal the ones we have, we can get to the point where we're making new healthy mitochondria. That is so exciting.
It's game changing. I mean, it is, and I think it's encouraging. And I mean, just in today's economy, where if you're scrolling, you're constantly seeing if you buy, this red light panel, if you add this supplement, if you sit in the super expensive sauna, and you go into all these different things. Which again, not to knock them, they're healthy and wonderful, but it starts to feel overwhelming. Like it's going to cost so much for me to do the healing work that's necessary. And I think that you have helped me so much. You and the guests kind of debunk that and say, you know what? No, we have everything we need right outside of those French doors that we walk out to every morning. And to be able to do the healing work. And then, yes, thinking about, God willing, my future grandchildren or great grandchildren, and that we could be, using the resources at our fingertips to change and move the needle for generations to come. I think that's really powerful.
We're doing that. And I'm doing that with my boys because
Mhm.
their mitochondria matters too. So I think two things that you said, because I do want to just talk about the biohacking tools that we can use.
Yeah.
Yes, it's totally free. I just start with the stuff that's free
Yes.
and
Yes.
understand that you have light inside of you. We make light in our cells. The mitochondria make that. So the more we help our mitochondria, the more we actually create healing light inside of us. I don't think there's anything more powerful than that. So, and
Yes.
all of that is essentially free. Like maybe some food.
Mhm.
You gotta buy some food eventually, but most of that's free. I just wondered about the things that you would recommend. Like I know you've got earthing shoes and blue blockers, glasses for the girls and those kinds of things. Nothing's better than barefoot and touching skin.
Mhm.
And I think it is also helpful to have some of the tools. So I just wondered which ones would you recommend?
So I do have a small red light panel that it's cordless, so I can turn it on when I'm brushing my teeth, washing my face. I love it, morning and AM PM. I love it. I used your discount code, but it was I was like, oh, okay. But I do love it, and I can take it in the car if I did a lot of carpools this past school year, and my left hip started bothering me, and I love being able to just do like localized treatment while I'm sitting in carpool. So I'm a big fan. I did work really hard to save, and I do have a sauna here at our home, and I've found that's really get in the sauna, and even a little person jump in there with me, and we have great conversations. And I do have a harder time. My body historically, and with some previous health challenges, has a harder time detoxifying, and I feel better when I'm sweating. But that has been just for me. My husband doesn't necessarily experience the same, you know, euphoria that I do when I get out. But it's been great, even if the first signs of the girl's not feeling well, if they're ever like, so and so went home sick, or like my throat might be a little itchy, I'm like, downstairs.
Yeah.
So I do love that. I did order this fancy mat you have right here behind you. I saw your recent post. I don't even know what we call it.
Yeah.
Is it Acu?
Acupressure mat. So this is the bed of nails that I love this one. Yeah, the acupressure mat I like a lot. And it can
Acupressure.
go anywhere too. So you can put it in the car, you can travel with it, you can do a lot of things with it. So that's why it's kind of nifty.
So you inspire me to do my homework. I haven't taken it out of the package yet, but I'm excited. So I can't say I've navigated yet, but I do love ways to incorporate lulls in our day, specifically me sitting in the car, waiting on kids. How do I do things that, it's not scrolling? So I keep a little book. I crack the window for light to come in. I'm excited to try the acupressure mat, but I do have my little red light therapy panel.
Mhm.
I think I do. I'm very particular about my water. So I do prioritize really great water. You taught me even just how to structure it. And there's occasional where I'll put in some hydrogen tablets.
Uh-huh.
Am I saying there's hydrogen, right?
Yeah,
Like just
molecular hydrogen. Mhm.
thing. molecular hydrogen tablets.
Yeah,
And I do feel really great
I do too.
incorporating that, and there's some things I've tried where I'm like, I don't really feel a difference, but this one's been here to stay, I think, for probably about a year and a half, here to
Mhm.
stay. Um, just salting my water. I mean, again, simple, but just little changes. The time of day I eat and what I put in my body, obviously. But yeah, I think those are the high notes. I mean, I can tell you right now,
And I
like I'm countering. I mean, it's all I have little things on demand. Thanks, thanks to you. I've got my red light right here in my computer when I have to work and try to counter that.
yes, I love it. Those are the big things. I think water, working with the water, light, and earthing, big
Mhm.
things. And then making some adjustments to maybe food and supplements, which I would have done I did it the opposite way, obviously, before
Okay.
because, we
Yep.
get there however we get there. But those are the ways. And the earthing shoes, do you feel like
Oh, I didn't think
that's
about.
yeah, for the girls would I like my earthing shoes a lot, but I didn't know if the girls wear theirs.
So the girls, I have not ordered. I put them in my cart a while ago and I thought I'd ordered them, had not. So I can't really speak to that. They do love going barefoot wherever they can around here. Definitely. I ordered some for my birthday slash Mother's Day. The cute little, I had a link from, I think
Harmony
from you.
for
Yeah,
me.
from Harmony.
Yeah.
And they were like the little quilted ivory ones. I saw one, I was like, those are the ones I want. And I ordered the socks. It's been a little warm. I'm really in sandals right now, so I'll be diving in the fall, I think, to just really see if I feel a difference. But we're pretty much barefoot around here as much as we
I
can.
love
We
it.
take our
That's
shoes off
perfect.
when we come in, and as much as we can when we're outside. And I just cannot put an emphasis on just that first 10 or 15 minutes of the morning, just being barefoot, how it changes your entire day, your entire outlook.
Right. I think you're absolutely right. The light and the earthing first thing in the morning is huge. Yes. 100% agree. And I think that's you backing your way. I like how you guys backed your way into that. Like, what would it take for
Mhm.
us to be able to do this?
Woo! Yep.
And yeah, how do we do that?
And
And
I
I think oh, sorry.
No, no, no. I would just say, just for anyone like wanting to know, it was really great to allow, like, this is going to feel chaotic for the first few weeks, like short-term pain, long-term gain, like the gain. This is going to feel messy, and it was challenging. But again, I mean, after like you clear that 2 week mark, and it starts to become a rhythm for us, and we prioritize that. And believe it or not, we've really been able to hold the line even this summer. I mean, the days are longer, so it's beautiful that we have a little bit more margin from a circadian rhythm standpoint. But it was tough, but like for 2 weeks, and now it's a part of our entire family's routine. And I think this is we've completed 2 school years, which is huge, and no signs of going back. And so if you can, for anyone listening, this is a great time as we're approaching back to school, before for anyone listening right now, and you may listen, in the fall, but if you're right now listening,
Mhm.
it's you've got a few weeks to really make some changes before you're full on back to school. And I think that's really helpful.
Yes, that's exactly right. Because our circadian rhythms are influencing almost every function in the body. So really prioritizing that while summer's a great time to do that. Any time of the year is better than like just start whenever you start. But summer is a really good time because we have UVB light. We have UVB light all year round, which is we're lucky for that. But it's also a slower pace usually in the summer. And with longer days, it's easier. So, because it's hard in the winter to get dinner before sunset for the whole family and all the things, it's challenging.
Or you pile on even just one extracurricular, and then you're like, homework, bed, baths, bed, like, And so I do feel like this is such a more flexible time of the year. But, when you have winter break, that too creates a few weeks. If you're listening and you're like, I really want to try that without that hardcore deadline of like, carpool, everyone get in the car, go. You can really can really practice and feel some results so your kids are motivated, like, oh, that felt good. And it's
Mhm.
so encouraging now that my now 9-year-old walks down, if she's ahead of us, lets the dogs out, leaves the door open, and just knows that is a part of our lifestyle.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you're just creating these patterns. And I hate to tell you that my youngest was my easy, like your youngest. Kate is so happy go lucky and it's all fine. And you don't think she has an anxious bone in her body and a cell in her body. And I
Yeah.
hope that's true. It definitely seems like it, but that was my youngest. And so
Mm,
you just never
never
know.
know. Yeah,
You never
I mean, totally believe that.
yeah.
Yes, and it's also, and I'm sure we'll do a deeper dive with your course, but part of me, really should spend more time thinking about my oldest and how we're spending this time teaching coping mechanisms and how to navigate and really make sure little Kate is CC'd on some of these things because you're right, we don't know. And while she presents that way right now, she's going to have her own path and her own journey, and we want her to be equipped, and I want to be equipped in how to navigate it as well.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Staying sane as a mother is really important for helping our kids to be calmer, to be and we're you don't have to be calm to have a regulated nervous system. It's really not, calm mom sounds great, but we really want to be energized
Mm,
appropriately for what's happening. So when we need to be energized, we're energized. And when we need to be calm, we feel calm. Being able that window
mm,
of tolerance, really expanding that window of tolerance
mm.
because we want to be able to respond to life, not react to everything. And that's the key.
This is where I could just like take a bath in your curiosity and where it's led you. I mean, I'm just like, yes, the energized part is everything. And that for me, pre-children
Yeah.
was my great struggle. And then you add you add wanting to have a healthy marriage and raising two very different children, maintaining career and the sense of purpose and significance, in there. And you're like, how many ways can you divide this pizza and still feel like you have the energy to show up, for your family,
Mhm.
for your career, for the people you love. I mean, I have, parents and in-laws and siblings and, nieces and nephews. And you start to think about this and you're like, it's so important to prioritize these very small things that create a not only a healthy soul but that inner light. We tell our girls every single day when you get out of the car, we're like, shine your light. And that's our shine your light. But having that is such a reflection of what you're absorbing and how you're able to show up in the world. And for me, you could only hope that when you're around people you love, that they view you as that, as a light, as someone who is radiating energy and zest for life. And yes, calm presence, but also, right, being able to not constantly be in a state of reacting to what all is happening around you, that you can show up
Mhm.
grounded, sane, patient, and hold space for them. And I think having the energy to be there, and I know all too well that I'm just getting started on these girls. Their most formative years are ahead, and I know how much they're going to need from me. And being able to show up and have the energy, I think that's the key, and what I'm really excited to learn more about from you and your guests.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, we're going to just keep talking about that on the podcast. I'm super excited for the course that you're talking about in the fall. I'm really, really cannot wait to share. I just took what I learned by trial and error for 3 year digging deep into
Mm,
the research and I just boiled it down. Like we're going to get straight to the nitty gritty. We're
yeah.
just going to talk about the things that made the biggest difference for energy to recharge the body.
Mm.
And I think you're already doing a lot of the things.
So
So
much room
that's
to grow. So much room to grow, but for you to take the time and break that down, I couldn't sign up fast enough. The Tuesdays are on my calendar. I was like blocking ironclad. But I'm just grateful for your curiosity, grateful that you're taking the time. I'm so sorry, for your suffering and for that path, but then also for you in hindsight to be able to look back and say, not only is this a sense of like purpose, but this is genuinely going to help people who are coming up behind me take what I've learned, empower their children, and yeah, make sure our souls that we're equipped, and staying healthy, throughout it all.
Yeah, that's the hope. That is really why I want to share, and I'm so grateful on this side of it. I'm so grateful for all the lessons. I would have never. I thought I knew. I thought I was good. I thought I knew everything I
Mhm.
needed to know in the health space. Not that you can't grow, and I would never have looked where I looked and dug as deeply as I dug if we weren't in a situation where I felt I had to.
Have to.
So in hindsight, you can see how it all, yeah, how it all plays out. But I think for me, even this morning, I had such a productive morning and I was like, I have my life back. I
Mm.
did so much before 10 a.m.
Yeah.
because I'm in a season where I can do that. And there's that little bit of like fear
Mhm.
that what if it all falls apart again or what, but the more you know and the more you've lived through, the more you know you can live through,
Yep.
and you know what the skills are that you need and everything that you need to
Mhm.
recharge yourself. So that fear doesn't last very long. I can feel it come up and I'm like, "Hey, I can understand, nurture that part of myself that feels afraid that, it all could fall apart." That song, "Please God, don't take these beautiful things," always makes me
Mhm.
cry because
Mhm.
we're in a really beautiful season and it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. We always have things to work on. But I just noticed like it's truly, you can have a really energized, clear-minded, and you can get your life back if it's gone after you go through really hard things.
I think first of all, I'm super encouraged because I too, it's like as you bump up against something, you're like, oh, I think I know, what to do. And all of a sudden it forces you to expand and be like, oh, actually, no, I can always learn, I can always grow. And I think there's some humility for me in that. Like, okay, unlock the curiosity and go. But to your point, instead of living like when our anxious brains have a tendency to want to go into fear, like what ifs, that to trust this toolkit that you have. And like, actually, no, fear isn't welcome here. I know that if this did happen, which right now looks unlikely, if this did happen, I know exactly what to do and to be able to help those of us add tools to our toolbox that we don't have, and to be ready in the event that we need them is such a gift. And you radiate light and goodness. And I can't thank you enough for the 99 episodes. I know I said 98 because I kicked off number one with you, but
Yes.
so I did know from that perspective. But these 98 episodes and how transformative they've been, and just your vulnerability, the quality guests that you've had. I mean, I can't tell you, like, actually, I feel like when I do allow myself to scroll Instagram, it's actually really healthy because I'm following so
Emily,
many
that's it. Yes.
healthy people to kind of build in accountability, or like, oh, a reminder of a small little micro change that I can make or incorporate, or just, oh, yeah. And I know how much time and dedication goes into making this. And just as you approach 100, yeah, I'm really, without just totally falling apart, I'm so grateful. It's changed four lives over here for sure. And yeah, it's planted seeds that hopefully whatever my grandmother name will be. If
Yes.
yeah, just to know that this work has yeah, it's going to have a generational ripple effect. So thank you, thank you,
I'm
thank you.
so grateful for you. I mean, you have always been such a bright light in the world. And
Mhm.
to know you're suffering the way I know you're suffering, and you've always just keep showing up with a smile on your face. And I think to watch you just really come to this place where you actually have the energy and you're making the changes and the health that you have now. It's just so you deserve it because you
Mhm.
put in the work. I haven't met many people that would put in the work the way that you have,
Mhm.
and I know some of it was out of just necessity. Like, I cannot it's just I cannot function with this much pain. Um, and people can go back and listen to the first episode about a lot of that. You were very gracious and vulnerable to share that and be
Mhm.
so honest. And just to see where you are now and where the whole family is now, it's so beautiful. And I'm so grateful for you, always grateful for you and the family. Love, love, love the girls, love Paul too.
Mhm.
And so I'm just grateful that you took the time to talk about this. I think it will be so helpful for people because, we're at different seasons. We're still doing the same similar things
Mhm.
for the family. And so,
It's no, it's really beautiful to kind of pause and look back and see this journey. And I would say, just, in closing, what I thought was lots of expensive supplements and practitioners and, this holistic this or this big shift in the, you know, I know is a part of my path, but to learn that this is really so simple and cost effective and the most transformative, it's hard not to shout it from the rooftops, right? Like it feels impossible. So um for those who are in their season of suffering, it's just like, hang in there, commit to just one micro change a day, like one just tiny one, and let it build on itself. And you will slowly, in a lot of ways, quickly feel the impact, and be encouraged to add one more into there. And if you can't get up and get your kids out for sunlight when you put them in the car, crack the windows,
crack the windows.
open the sunroof, play a fun song, like make this sunshine, like getting that into your eyes. Just that would be my biggest takeaway. And you've taught me that. And yeah, we're feeling energized and excited for the first time to go into this school year. We're not like, oh, we're so, yeah, we don't want summer to end. It's like we're starting to appreciate not just our own circadian rhythm, but just the rhythms of life and, school year and our, the adventures in learning. And then we'll have winter break and we get to look forward to an adventure as a family traveling. And then we look forward to spring break. And then we look forward to our summer adventures. And it's just these rhythms that start to feel, to your point, they really start to feel more proactive than reactive. And we're just, yeah, we're grateful for it all.
Yes, we are grateful for it all. Well, I love you so much, Haley. Thank you so much for taking this time. I want people to go check out Girl Talk too. We didn't even talk about Girl Talk, but they should. I'll put all that in the show notes. I'll make sure I talk about it in the intro too. So thank you for all that you're doing, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Love you. Appreciate you so much.